Welcome back to our daily journey through World War II. It's been 10 days since the world was plunged into a new, terrifying conflict. The maps of Europe are being redrawn by German tanks, and the world is holding its breath to see who will stand and who will fall. Today, on September 11th, 1939, we will see one of the most powerful counterattacks of the entire Polish campaign, examine the puzzling inaction on the Western Front, and understand how the war at sea is escalating into a battle for survival. For the first week of the war, the German blitzkrieg had been an unstoppable force, cutting through Poland's defences with shocking speed. But on this day, the Polish army proved they were not a defeated foe. They launched a massive, daring counter-offensive, what would become known as the Battle of the Bzura, the largest battle of the entire September campaign. The Polish plan was audacious. Two Polish armies, the Poznań and the Pomorze, had been bypassed by the main German advance and were now located to the west of the German spearhead. Their commanders, under the leadership of General Tadeusz Kotrzyba, saw a chance to strike a powerful blow. Their goal was to attack the flank of the German 8th Army as it advanced on Warsaw, hoping to relieve the pressure on the capital and buy precious time for a regrouping of forces. The attack, launched from the area of the Bzura River, took the German commanders completely by surprise. The Polish forces, fighting with incredible courage and determination, pushed hard, successfully pushing back German units and capturing thousands of prisoners. The German command was stunned. They had believed the Polish army was in full retreat, and here they were, fighting back with a ferocity they had not anticipated. This moment was a glimpse of what might have been. It showed that the Polish military, despite being outmatched in terms of equipment and mobility, had a fighting spirit that was second to none. For a brief, shining moment, it seemed possible that the Polish line could hold. But the German response would be swift and brutal. While the Polish forces were fighting for their lives, a strange, eerie quiet had fallen over the Western Front. 10 days after Britain and France declared war on Germany, there had been no major battles, no great clashes of armies. The French, who had promised to support their Polish allies, were engaged in what historians would later call the Phoney War or the Sitzkrieg, the Sitting War. On September 11th, the French Somme offensive, which had begun 2 days earlier, stalled. French forces had advanced a mere 5 miles into German territory and occupied a few German villages and parts of a forest. The German army had already withdrawn to the powerful Siegfried Line, a series of fortifications along their border. The French commanders were reluctant to attack these formidable defences, believing that the costs would be too high. This hesitation was a source of immense frustration for the Poles, who were desperately fighting for their survival. From a strategic perspective, the French and British had a powerful force that, if used aggressively, could have forced Germany to divert resources from Poland. But they chose a more cautious approach, betting on a long, drawn-out war of attrition rather than an all-out offensive. They believed the Germans would be exhausted by their actions in Poland, and the full weight of their economic and military power would be brought to bear later. In the end, this strategy would prove a fatal miscalculation. The war wasn't just on land. On this day, the Battle of the Atlantic, which would become one of the most crucial battles of the entire war, was intensifying. German U-boats were continuing their campaign of sinking Allied merchant ships. The goal was to strangle Britain's supply lines, which were vital for its ability to fight. The British Royal Navy was already working to implement a convoy system, where merchant ships would travel together, protected by naval warships. But this was a slow process, and on September 11th, several ships, including the British freighter SS Furby, were sunk by U-boats. The Furby was sunk just off the British coast, a stark reminder that the war was not just a distant event, but was now on Britain's doorstep. As the fighting raged on, the human toll of the conflict was becoming tragically clear. Refugees were streaming out of Poland, desperately trying to escape the German advance. Stories of hardship, loss, and incredible bravery were filtering out to the rest of the world. In the United States, President Franklin D. Roosevelt's public statements were becoming more urgent. While he maintained the U.S. position of neutrality on this day, he made a direct plea for all warring nations to refrain from aerial bombardment of unfortified cities and civilian populations. It was an appeal to the moral conscience of the combatants, but it would largely go unheeded. The nature of this war was already proving to be far more brutal than anyone could have imagined. The events of September 11, 1939, reveal the true nature of this conflict. In Poland, we see a nation fighting with incredible courage against impossible odds. On the Western Front, we see a strategic hesitation that would have monumental consequences. And on the open seas, we see a new, terrifying type of naval warfare that will define the course of the war. Tomorrow, we'll see the full weight of the German counter-response to the Polish offensive. The Battle of the Bzura is far from over, and Germany is about to unleash its full force to crush this last pocket of Polish resistance. The fate of an entire army hangs in the balance. You won't want to miss it. If you found this look back at history informative, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments what you found most surprising about this day in the war. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.